In the previous video, we looked at what Hinduism has to say about the emergence of life on Earth. Let's delve into the scientific theories now. Let's start with, when did life appear on Earth first? The Earth was formed 4.5 billion years ago. Up until 4 billion years, the atmosphere of Earth consisted largely of water vapor, nitrogen, and carbon dioxide, with small amounts of carbon monoxide, hydrogen, and sulfur compounds. There was no oxygen or ozone, and Earth was subject to heavy ultraviolet radiation. Further, Earth was frequently bombarded with asteroids and comets. So naturally the next question arises, where could life evolve then in such a hazardous environment? Well, it may have evolved in the ocean at depths of more than 10 meters. It would have been shielded both from meteor impacts and the ultraviolet radiation. Now that we have answered when and where, let's see what were the first living beings like. How do you define a living being? A living being is something that can self-sustain and is capable of evolving and reproducing itself. All living beings have cells at their fundamental level. These cells mainly comprise of three things: an energy source, which is called proteins, a closed system or wall which defines its boundary called lipids, and a self-replicating DNA or RNA. Each of these entities are nothing but organic molecules comprising of chains of carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, and other elements. But the question is, how did they form? Let's delve into how each of these could have formed. First, proteins. Miller-Urey experiment conducted in 1952 simulated gases present on early Earth, namely methane, ammonia, hydrogen, and water, with electric arc for energy. They were able to produce 20 amino acids from this, which are building blocks of proteins. This shows organic molecules could be formed from inorganic sources. But where did energy to react to form proteins come from? One hypothesis is frequent lightning could have produced this energy. Secondly, lipids. Lipids are formed from simple amphiphilic compounds, molecules which have water-loving and water-hating ends. These molecules naturally joined together to form spherical structures and could have formed the earliest cell walls. Within the cell wall, proteins and RNA could perform the cellular functions. Finally, RNA. Scientists have found the component compounds of RNA in meteorites. So did we have any alien intervention from which RNA may have come to Earth from meteorites? RNA stored both genetic information and catalyzed the chemical reactions in primitive cells. RNA also self-replicates itself, growing exponentially. Now, how did these primitive cells get energy since mitochondria, the powerhouse of cell, was not formed yet and there was no oxygen? Well, one hypothesis is they could have used hydrothermal vents in deep seas and from other molecules in the organic soup. But is there something missing? The answer is yes. Creationists will point out that if we keep components of bicycle together, will it form the bicycle on its own? Scientists say these primitive cells are not living beings. They are not able to carry out reactions to sustain or replicate themselves without energy from their environment. However, these primitive cells did get opportunity to experiment. Many would have failed, but some may have formed the right RNA and proteins to sustain and replicate properly. We have to note that complex life forms didn't emerge from the start. It would have been very primitive single-celled life form. If we put a rope and a wheel together and provide some energy so that the rope hits the wheel from different angles, it may be able to form a pulley in some time. So, over millions of years, over millions of molecules in the vast sea, some molecules in primitive cells may have converted to form the first primitive living cells. These cells would be capable to cell division to reproduce. Sticking together would have provided benefits over environmental instabilities. This led to the development of first multicellular organisms. It took around 2.5 billion years from single-celled organisms to form multicellular organisms. Rest of the evolution, however, from multicellular organisms to plants, fish, amphibians, mammals, and humans happened rapidly in the last 500 million years. Is this the final theory? Sadly no. Studies in 2020 showed that atmosphere in early Earth was different from that conducted in Millet-Urey experiment. Science is still evolving and we are yet to completely understand and confirm how atoms collided to form life. What is your opinion? Do you think life formed organically over time from collision of atoms? Or do you think there is a divine play? Comment below. If you like the above video, like, share and subscribe to Gist.